All right, I went and shared everything out. Incredible afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I figured I would do another breakdown of what is included in my 30-day training. I've been doing a heavy push of it because it is discounted right now. It's discounted 30%, $30 off on our shop.hsink365 website. And I've been getting a lot of questions about what's included in it. Some people saying, things like, well, I don't have it. That's the only, do you only teach it from Silhouette Studio? I use Photoshop. I don't have a Cameo, so I can't use that. So I want to just kind of break down what Silhouette Studio is, what our 30-day training offers, and for you to determine whether or not it will be beneficial to you guys, okay? So I'm going to take a little moment, go through some of the different modules and different worksheets that comes with it, so you can get an idea of what all is going to be included, what all do you need in order to take the course. If you guys are already enrolled, hit the share button on this. If you're able to share it, send it directly to someone's inbox that you may have seen ask about, learning Silhouette Studio, or seen a question like in a group. If you want to just share it to your groups, or if there is a group that allows you to share content such as this, go ahead, hit that share button, give this video a thumbs up. It definitely helps the algorithm. It helps me out as well. So if you have taken the course and you appreciate it and it has been helpful for you, you can go ahead and just hit that share button. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. So we're going to get right into this, and I'm going to break down the 30-day training, exactly what it is and what all it entails. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oops. There we go. Hello, everyone. I am Shakeya, the Professor of HS Inc. 365 LLC. We are the home of 365 Creative Academy, which is our host site for this particular training. For the past 8 years, I have been teaching how to use Silhouette Studio, and I started off as just a creator, like not where I was in business for teaching it. I got my first Cameo, which meant that I needed to learn the software 8 years ago, actually 9 years ago now, when I first got it and I started working with it. And I wasn't someone who like immediately came into this as being an instructor. I used it for a long time, just as a regular user, just like you guys, looking for well, for one, it was, just the cutter part. And I mainly got mine for print and cut. I was one where I created a lot of handcrafted things. I'll show you guys the last thing that I created I um before I like really started using my Cameo. I'll just give you guys an idea of some of the things that I would make and basically cut by hand. I'm going to kind of go back through my Instagram here. I don't post often, but when I do, it's some good stuff on there. I gotta go kind of far back on here. I probably should just put Shakia. Pull your Instagram up over here, girl. The heck are you thinking? All right, hold on. That made more sense. So bring it up over here. All right. But so while I bring that up, I'm just know that I used it for a long time. It really helped me because, like I said, I used to cut everything by hand, and I mean everything. So when I got my Cameos, it just made my life 1,000 times easier because I was able to, utilize the machine. But more so than that, the program, I really started to realize like how great the software was just as a general graphic designing software. I'd used tons and tons and tons of software. I have experience in Photoshop, Illustrator, Corel Draw. I was even using Word and PowerPoint to be able to create some amazing creations. From when I started this back in like just starting this in 11th grade, and I really kind of got into it, like especially once I was in the military and creating things because I was always in remote locations. So being able to create party things, and because that's how I got into it, was more so for my event planning business, is why I really wanted some sort of cutter. So being in the military, being in remote locations such as like Korea, I used to just create a lot of things for events and stuff like that. And I eventually got a Cricut. And I've told that story before where right when I got my Cricut, I got the Cricut because someone stated that you can use shortcuts a lot or make the cut to be able to design freely with the software and not be limited to the cartridges. So that's when I first got got a Cricut, and I had got the expressions. And right when I got mine is when it all went to where they prevented you from being able to use those third party things, right? So I I'm sorry, I'm trying to go way back here. Oh, there we go. I was trying to get to the beginning. So they prevented you from using those third-party programs with your Cricut. So I ended up losing the ability to just freely design. Came across the Silhouette system, and at first I thought, well, one, the limitations of with the cartridges, and then I came across Silhouette, and it's like, okay, you aren't limited. You can cut anything. You can do print and cuts. You can do like these bigger ones. And so I was just intrigued by it. And once I kind of got the hang of it, I just wanted to share with others. I'm like, man, everyone's talking about Cricut. Like, why don't people know about this? Like, why aren't people talking about this? Because this machine, this system is amazing. Like, it's a whole ecosystem from design to the machine. So I was like, okay, this is something that people really need to know about. So I started just creating content for it. And now it is a full on business for me. I mean, it's really helped us, in the midst of the pandemic and where our bread and butter came from before. Now, this is a whole, like, it just opened up so many doors. So from teaching Silhouette, then to getting in a space to where I became, uh, someone that was very well known within the sublimation space as far as getting started in converting printers, to where uh, uh, kind of carving out a path there, it made it to where we can have our own product line. I can have my own online academy. And it was just, again, for me, it was for my event business and then just my custom creations business as far as like shirts and tumblers and signs and things like that. So 8 years ago, this system, this program really changed things for me. And I do have 6 cameos. I don't really use them as much now because I do more on like the teaching side, but I have a long portfolio of things that I have done with the Silhouette system, but more so the Silhouette program, because you can use it as a standalone software and standalone program. So if you get something, which I personally would, once I kind of use it, from what I've seen, I think it'll probably be the best fit. The Caesar Romeo, because that's a 24-inch cutter. You can't cut direct. You cannot make sure I say that correctly. You can't, meaning cannot, cut directly to other cutters from the Silhouette software. However, you can design within the Silhouette software, be able to save it as an SVG or a PDF file, and then take it into other softwares for particular cutters to be able to cut onto those machines. So you have to think of Silhouette Studio as a separate designing software. Separate it. Don't think Silhouette Studio and then the Cameo. The problem is I see it a lot on social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. They'll say, okay, I'm designing this in Silhouette Cameo. And I'm like, no, you're not designing this in Silhouette Cameo. You're confusing people. You're designing it in Silhouette Studio. It literally can work totally separate, independent of the machine. You do not need a machine in order to use the software. The software is a great place for straight up newbie, neophyte, like beginner designers, and just putting things together. Just someone who's just coming into bringing in a JPEG or a PNG and removing the background and layering it with other elements and laying it with text. Silhouette Studio is a great place to start because it is free. You can get comfortable with the concepts of designing without having to actually pay a monthly fee like you would with Photoshop or Illustrator or Corel Draw, because now that is on a monthly or annual fee. Now, programs like Affinity are a one-time purchase. That has its limitations as well, but even with that, like, there are certain things where it's a lot easier to do in Silhouette versus over there, because I've gone and I've taken a design and I have tried to do it in each of the programs. So I'll do it in Silhouette. I've done it. So I've taken one design. I did it in Silhouette Studio. I did it in Cricut Design Space. I did it in Affinity Designer. I did it in Illustrator. I did it in Photoshop and Corel Draw. So like, just to see the differences in how, like, based off of their tools, how easy or difficult it will be to create like that exact same design. And sometimes some of those other softwares are overkill in what it is that you need to do. And it makes it kind of complicated, especially Photoshop for certain things, because you always have to kind of click in and go into this area to do this. You can't just like click and edit it like you can in Silhouette Studio. So I want you guys to really, 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 really consider it. You don't, even before you take a class, any and everyone can go on to the Silhouette America website and download the software for free. The current version, as of today, which is April 10th, 2023, is 4.5. I am using it right now because there was some content that I wanted to create around it, because there are some things that are in 4.5 that are not in version 4.3. With that being said, the version that I do recommend that people install is going to be the 4.3 version. I will show you in this video how to get to that particular version. It's a legacy version. I find it to be the most stable and to work with pretty much any computer. Even if you don't have like the best graphics card, the best memory, that 4.3 is going to be the most stable version of the newer system. Now, if your computer is really, really, really not up to par, and like you probably really need to get an upgrade on your computer, you can go back as far as version 3.6. Yes, there are things that are going to be totally, like, it looks totally different, but on my laptop, I still use version 3.6. And what you learn as far as like knowing what subtract does, what crop does, what modify does, what trace does, it works the same in that version of the software. The icons are simply in different places. So if you really, really have to, you may have to go back to version 3. So I prefer 3.6, but you can do 3.8. That's on there as well. It looks totally different, but it runs, like, I will say version 3 is a better version than version 4. If you are just using it to design, I would surely consider that. And although you cannot save, as even if you have business edition in version 3, you cannot save it as like an SVG, but there are workarounds around that, because there is a website where you can convert a Silhouette file into an SVG to be able to take into other softwares. All right. So that's an option if for version 4 with your computer system is just not working and it's constantly crashing. All right. Like I said, I will show you where to go at into legacy for that. Now, I have what is called Essentials to Silhouette Studio, Learn Silhouette Studio in 30 days. This was the third or fourth time that I taught Silhouette Studio. And I did this one in a totally different manner than I've ever done before. So there once was this video many moons ago, where the first time I was on live for about 4 hours, and I went through pretty much everything of version 3, and kind of just going through that particular version, showing how things work, what it did, So that was the first time, one straight 3-hour YouTube live video. Then I finally did it in more of a hands-on, or I wanted like an interactive one. And so I ended up doing it via, that one was it Meetings to Go or something like that? It's kind of like Zoom, like a meeting type thing, or like a webinar type deal. So I did it through there. That was also still a 4-hour class, and they had access to the playbacks. We kind of just went through everything like in like that one day. I think I did that twice on that platform. Then I ended up getting into like Zoom, and I still did it the same way, thinking that would be the more effective way to kind of just get it all in in one day and work through it. And it was still pretty, helpful. Still got a lot of great reviews and comments on that, just like me showing them things that they had never seen done, never looked at, like never even looked at certain tools. Most of that at that time, most of the YouTube videos were not touching on any of those tools and functions. So it worked out. I mean, it was still great. But then last year, I decided to really, really break it down. And I taught it over the course of 30 days. That's why it's called a 30, like the 30-day training. It is not to say that you will master it in 30 days. It's not to say that you now have to take like the full 30 days. Some people, they're taking their time now that it's basically in playback mode. But I dedicated 30 days to go through each of the tools and functions of Silhouette Studio, break down the why and the how of it, have different examples and basically homework assignments where you can just simply practice the techniques. It wasn't about necessarily designing it and doing these things like within a design. You're going to use subtract, you're going to use crop, you're going to use compound paths, drawing of shapes and text, and just about every single design that you do. So you're going, as you're working in it and you're working on designs, you're working on orders, you'll start to, utilize these things. But knowing the core of what they do, how they function, that is what the 30-day training is about. And it's broken up to where you focus on one or two tools at one time. It is going to be important that you actually go through them and do the practice assignments. Now, you may not need to always go through the entire video, like the entire replay, because I do my best to try and show in the beginning, like the exact steps. It's kind of a I do, you do, we do type deal, or I do, we do, you do type setup, where I would show it and then I would have them kind of follow along. Now, if you watch it the first time all the way through, you're going to be able to see and hear the mistakes that others make. They'll share their screen. You'll probably run into the same things where your mouse is kind of funky and it's clicking on different places. I put this 30-day training together based off of really the pain points that I was like seeing when I would do classes, or if I was looking at or I was helping on a post inside of a group. Something as simple as how to select certain items, how to properly drag and trace. So I even have a day where we talk about how to properly select. And there is one where I'm telling you, okay, you're going to put your mouse here, you're going to go click on the other side of it, drag, because I found that through teaching, it was something simple as that, to where they're trying to follow along, but they just don't understand how to properly select, how to click and hold down shift, where some people would listen to that. Okay, you have to hold down shift to click something else, but then they're missing that step that you're supposed to let go of shift. So then their screen or what they were clicking on was not matching the YouTube video or the Facebook video or even classes that they were in. It's like, okay, this isn't working for me. It had them feeling like they were doing something wrong. I'm listening to these things, and although it might seem very simple to someone going in, there might be sections that you need to skip over. They are in there because it was needed. All right. Because so I've had, some feedback on that. This is like based, like you have a whole day for this, and it was important to some people. So there's a lot of things that are in there that are perfect. If you have never looked at the system before, this is your first introduction to it. This is going to be the best training because it's going to be the most comprehensive one. You will never find a training that's going to go through things like that, how to even use your mouse and making sure that you're right clicking or left clicking and the difference between that and how to select it. It goes down to that basics, like how to actually properly drag and select over things. We've had, where someone shared their screen and you're seeing in real time that everybody's system is different. Everybody's computer is different, where I'm saying, okay, pull your mouse over here and click, and then they'll go and they'll share their screen. And we're seeing that, and I'm taking control of their mouse and I'm trying to click in that area and it doesn't. Like, we literally had to move away from it just a little bit to actually click on it. That was the light bulb for a lot of people, because they were getting frustrated because they're like, man, I know I'm not dumb. Like I got some, level of of common sense, and I've done some things that are more complicated. It's like, this is the job that I have. Like, this can't be this difficult. What's going on? And it's simply the system that they were using. Like, their computer was just off, like whether it was just super sensitive, their mouse was sensitive, but it wasn't allowing them to actually click where I was showing. And when you're looking at the parts, when people are asking questions and you're able to see their screens, you may have experienced that, and that might be the answer for you. So in this 30-day training, everything that happened within that hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it is, if someone had issues and they had to share their screen, you were able to see that. Now, I know a lot of people want to be able to have that same live experience so that they can get that interactive and instant help. I can't say that I will ever do this 30-day like that again, but we do have something in the works that's going to be able to help you learn it. The 30-day training, like the base one, it will still be the foundation of it, but we are going to have some live Zoom sessions that you will be able to take part of. So like, they're going to be like more like study halls, and then we'll move into putting it into like some design stuff. Because the other thing that I did was my bachelor's and my master's program. So bachelor's was kind of like Essentials of Silhouette Studio, but I taught it like through kind of doing like different projects every single month, or every single week, should I say, over the course of a year. So that program literally was like, well, because we had the pilot, the beta, like kind of like the test one for a couple of months. And then like by October, or September, we really got into the meat and potatoes of it. So it was really, for some of them, like a year and a half, where every single week we would go through different designs and trying to like teach them the tools. And I like that one. So now I'm working on kind of marrying the two, where we have the 30-day training as our foundation, but coming up here pretty soon, we're going to kind of have that bachelor's program like set up to where we will have weekly sessions and really put everything together. But the 30-day training is where like you will get the bulk of like just understanding the tools. And when we go through the weekly classes, we are going to go through like, okay, now this might be a day, and we might have several of them where we're talking about cropping, but it's going to be different. It might be with text, it might be with pictures, it might be with. So I'm at the point now to where I'm marrying the two. So this is something that has been developed from me doing different classes, me kind of getting the feedback, seeing how people learn. So the 30-day training and the way that it's set up, it is set up to help anyone, whether you are brand spanking new, you've never downloaded the software, you've never even looked at it. It goes step by step by step, even if you've never looked at it. And I had people who had been using it longer than me, and they were like, just from seeing your content and what you do with it, I knew that there was something that you can teach me in this. And they took it, and you'll hear them on the video. I've been using this for 10 years. I've been using this for 12 years. I've never seen this tool. I've never even clicked over here. I just kind of come on and I just use the text, the trace, and that's it, because that's a lot of times what you see in YouTube videos. So it works for brand spanking new, like, and then even for those who think they know their program. I'm telling you, I unlocked some things that you probably never knew about Silhouette Studio. All right. So that's just in a nutshell what it is. So now I want to take the opportunity to just show you some of the worksheets that we work with so that you can see how detailed this 30-day training gets. Right now, like I said, it is discounted, $30 off. You cannot. This is a great opportunity. They paid $83.65 when we initially did this. $83.65 is what the cost was for this training, and it will go back to that. But right now is available for $53.65 when you get it through the shop site, and you'll see it at checkout that the discount comes off. So on the page, it's going to say 83, but when you go to your cart, you're going to see that $30 comes off. So now is a great time to invest in this training. Your return on it, as far as knowledge, it's not going to be measurable. Like, it is worth its weight in gold. So you can go to shop.hsink365. In the description of this video is a link to go directly to that training page and then add it to your cart. Also, browse around. We do have some amazing products if you're into sublimation. So check those out as well. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to go over to, I'm going to show you guys some of the things that I have created. I'm going to also go through where to download this from, which in the class, we go through this as well. I break down all of the upgrades. You do not have to have Designer, Designer Plus, or Business Edition in order to take this 30-day training. The very, very first day, I break down the differences in the different upgrades. And you can decide at that point if you want to actually upgrade as you continue on with the training, or if you just kind of want to wait. Now, when we get to rhinestones, if you don't have Designer Edition or above, you won't be able to follow along with that. When we get to SVGs, you won't be able to follow on with that because you have to have the Designer Edition, Designer Plus, or Business in order to open up SVGs, okay? Is what a one-time fee? My 30-day training, if that's what you're asking, yes. So the Essentials of Silhouette Studio, as it stands right now, that 30-day training is a one-time fee. Now, because I plan to marry my bachelor, how I kind of did my bachelor's and this, that when we get to that one, that will not be. It will be a monthly subscription because we're going to have live videos on the regular. So that will be a monthly subscription, but you're going to need the 30-day training to even really understand it, because I'm not going back through the teachings the way it is in 30-day training where I'm breaking that down. We're going to go through, sometimes it's going to be very basic and simple tasks. So bachelor's will be those things. I made the mistake of, I felt like going too far ahead in the bachelor's program for things that were reserved for the master's. So now I am ready to bring those programs back, but in a new and improved way. Someone says my mouse be tripping. Is that Miss Vanessa? I know it was I think it was Miss Vanessa. Like, I think when we were, especially when we were in bachelor's, she was having issues with hers. Someone else says me. I wonder if that's the same thing where they were talking about the mouse. It says Facebook user, so I can't tell who it is. All right, so here's where you're going to go. This is silhouetteamerica.com. And when you go to software and then get software, the default is going to be the current version, which is 4.5. I am not one where that really works. Right now, I'm in 4.5 and I can't wait to go back to 4.3. I need to hurry up and record this content so I can get up off of 4.5. It'll probably shut down on me now because I have a lot of the worksheets open and it's probably going to shut down. And I have a gaming computer and it's still kind of wonky. If you are going to do this version because you have the Cameo Pro, I recommend that you, if you have a Windows computer, that you do the 32-bit, not the 64. But if you go to learn more, and then right here, it's going to say legacy versions. Here's where all those older versions are. You can go to 4.3.370, or if you have a computer that's not quite there, you can still learn to design and learn the tools and functions. Like I said, they work the same way. Everything is just in a different layout. The tracing is 1,000 times better in version 3 than it is in version 4. That, I mean, there's no denying it. But you can go to version 3.8 or 3.6 under the legacy as well. Okay. So that's where you go and get it. Now, I just want to kind of show you. I don't even think do I have this to where it's the multiples of this? I don't. But man, the way I think it's probably on here some way, the way this opens up. Do I have that one? Oh, dang it. That one's not on there for some reason, but it was a really cool invitation where it's like a Tiffany box, but when it opens up, it is actually the invitation. So the way I folded that was, oh, Jesus. But everything here, I used to design, I designed it, well, just find the picture, print it out, and I cut it by hand. I cut out like all these little pieces by hand and, gave it to my client. I created this box by using a ruler, measuring, making lines at the top, in the middle, the bottom, draw a straight line, then cutting it. Like I used to, like it was very, very detailed in how I had to do some of these cuts. This right here was again, this was hand drawn too. Because I did it with the projector and I put it on there. I traced it, I painted it, but then I cut it out with like foam board and stuff like that. I cut this out, just by print. So the template for this though, I had to cut it out by hand, to then put the projector. Actually, I think this was, yeah. So it was projected onto like the craft paper, to where I can trace it. I had to cut the edges. I painted it, put it on the foam board, then did the hot foam, whatever. Same thing with the two. So all these things were done by hand. So this was designed in Word. No, what was this? Was this designed in? I don't think this was designed in Select Studio. I don't remember. It may have been, because it's 2013. So I don't know if my niece is born. I may have done this in Word. I may have done this one in Word. And it's just like it was a trunk party. So when it was closed, do I have the closed version of it? I don't think I do. But when it's closed, it looks like the top looks a trunk. And when you open it, it looks like a trunk that's open. I don't remember what program I did that in. This was another one to where it was a baby block, and it was basically an invitation, and you got all of the information about the party around the individual sides. And then this one was one kind of the same concept, but it was when you opened it up. But I literally created all of these by hand. This right here was one that I created by hand for a birthday party. Everything here I cut by hand. I had it printed out onto either big paper or split it up into several ones. And I would, like I said, I was just cutting by hand. Everything. This was actually designed in Microsoft. No, this was designed. Was this designed in Word or Corel Draw? This may have been Corel Draw. This was definitely in Word. I remember this one. So that was designed in Word. This was designed in Word. This was designed because this was MJ's first birthday. So I did not have a Cameo then. So this had to have been Word or either Corel Draw, one of those. I want to say I'm trying to think. 3. Okay, wait. My niece was born 2000. Her birthday, she was born 2014. So yeah, I may have actually had the program by then, because I think I'm trying to think, man, June. Did I have it? I don't know if I had it then. Everything here, I know I did it by hand. Like everything here was done by hand, even these paper flowers. So I had been doing stuff like this for a while. I know this was definitely done by hand. It's like a slider card, because I definitely didn't have it. I didn't have my machine in 2013. I started using it after this. Okay, so this is December 2013. This is my niece's baby shower. Well, my sister, when she was pregnant with my niece. So I know that I did have it, but I had not used it just yet. I had the machine, I had the program, I was playing around with it, but I just hadn't like used the machine. So everything at this party, all of the hanging fish, I mean, when I tell y'all, it was a lot of fish. Like, I'm not sure if you can see, like there is seahorses, there's octopuses, like all these things were hanging from the ceiling. I printed those all out at Office Depot. This was before I even had my own, like a good printer in-house. I took them, had all the files, blew them all up, took them to Office Depot, had them print them out. I cut them all by hand, glued them all to foam board and cut them out. So yeah, you can see right here where it is split right here. So, oh man, and there was like these long things. They had a whole bunch of fish. The foam board, the template for the foam board, I cut all of that, measured it all by hand, cut it all. There it is. There's a better picture of, and there's still some, because this is just in the front. So there's still some fishes and animals and stuff like that missing. So the seaweed, I mean, of course, there's no machine that can do that. But like, I mean, I used to create everything. So imagine doing this and kind of tying those on almost like a tutu for the seaweed hanging. And my tagline was DIY by professional. That was my whole thing when I was doing the event stuff. This was designed in Silhouette Studio. Actually, no, this was a print and cut in Silhouette Studio. This was one of my first print and cuts in Silhouette Studio, because I think by the time her baby shower was over with, I was like, I am not doing that again. I paid for this machine, and this was actually one of the first print and cuts that I did from Silhouette Studio. And I had a Brother printer. It was a wide format printer. It was Brother. And this is actually 1, 2, 3 different sections. Actually, this is more than that. But it's a couple different sections for this. And then all this was someone's party that I just kind of assisted with doing all the decorating for. I did do the centerpieces. These right here, I was still hand cutting because my friend, she worked at FedEx. And so at that point, I didn't have to go to Office Depot anymore. I got them done for free, but she would print it all out for me and I would hand cut it all. The front part of it, the backing of it, I would literally hand. I think the backing of it, I did cut with the machine, maybe. And then the front, I was hand cutting. By then we had 2. We had an original and we had the Cameo 2. But all of the letters here, I hand cut. So this is, like I said, it definitely helped on that side of business for me with just the cutting part, but just opening up just my thought process about designing, because this game booklet was done in Silhouette Studio. So I designed that entire game book. I designed the invitation, everything in Silhouette Studio. And then she just printed it out here it is. So this is the outside of it. And then this was how the inside was set up for this particular party. And then this was the baby shower game booklet. And all of this was done in Silhouette Studio. Creating templates to create these things. So now it was cut with on styrofoam. I hand painted these, but being able to design it, size it the way that I wanted it to be sized, and then putting that on top of the styrofoam to be able to easily cut it out. Again, it just made my life so much easier, even just using Silhouette Studio to properly size. So this was the inspiration. Now I hated the 3 because it actually was supposed to be somewhere else. So that 3 was way too small for the size of this in scale. She ended up putting the 3 somewhere else, I think, anyway. But just being able to actually size things, not so that I can create the template and then still made my life a whole lot easier versus trying to draw it out manually or use my projector. So Silhouette Studio serves it was just a lot. It just was very beneficial to me in a lot of ways. Same thing with this. So my Elmo Speedway, that was for MJ's party. I've always been into creating like themes within themes. So I created his own logo for the fact that he had an Elmo. It was his second birthday. It was a race party. So Elmo Speedway. So I created this in Silhouette Studio. Being able to get now hand painted and hand cut the Elmos, the 3 different Elmos, but all of the sponsor type deals on it. I did print and cuts for all of those. The banner here, Silhouette Studio, print and cuts. And then here is just a close-up picture of my niece's birthday party. And see, she didn't have the 3 up there. She put the 3 on the side. So she didn't put it at the top yet because in comparison, the scale was really too small. So she just put it next to her name and she put cupcakes and all that kind of stuff on it. So you can see it there. So this was back in, again, these were all done by hand. No Silhouette was used in this one. I couldn't get away from it. Took me a little minute to stop doing stuff by hand, but I did use the Cameo print and cut for this part because that was an intricate cut. So I was like, okay, I got this machine. Let me use it for that. This was one where it was designed in Silhouette, and these were print and cuts as well. I think this is one of my first sets of like print and cuts also. So yeah, being able to do the colors and custom colors was very, very helpful for me. And those are some logos. Both of these logos were done in Silhouette Studio. So you can see that once you learn how to use it, the possibilities are endless. It works like a regular design software. So that one. This was some party favors that I end up doing for someone, being able to design invitations in there. Because the first time that I designed this was for my sister, and I don't think, did I use Source Studio for hers? Or I may have used Word. And then like we had like, I glued sand to the bottom of like her invitations actually went out with sand on it. But then I recreated it, you know, a couple times over because hers was more like this. And then I just kind of like played around with different orientations and stuff like that. So all of this was done in Silhouette Studio. The design of the business cards. This is his Elmo Speedway, and creating that in Silhouette Studio. So no, I did do this in Silhouette Studio because this was from the family reunion. So I actually did do this in Silhouette Studio. My goddaughter, she was having a Doc McStuffin party, but I'm one to it's a Doc McStuffin, but not wanting to infringe on it. So I made it to where it was Malia's Healthcare Center for toys, but it was a Doc McStuffin type theme, and this was what we used for her for her party. Even making like the invitation was like an appointment card. So I'm just showing you guys to see like the power of this software once you really learn it. A lot of people kind of say this, my advertisement for now this was not done in Silhouette Studio because of the way like I didn't know how to do that. So that was kind of still going back to my roots of Illustrator and making that look like it was on the runway. This was done all in Silhouette Studio. Oh, there it is. See, now you can see that invitation opened up. I knew there was a picture of that on here. So that was the invitation where I did that one by hand. Now it's easy to do that in Silhouette Studio because you can put the score marks or like kind of put a notation to where to score it at. But when I was doing that and having to do like each one of those by hand and measure it to figure out where it needs to go and all that stuff, like, man. So like I said, just made my life so much easier. This was MJ's 3rd birthday. Like I said, I always do things by then. He was really into basketball. So instead of doing like a Miami Heat theme, it was like all of his. And MJ was an Energizer bunny. So his was the Energizers, was his team name for his 3rd birthday. Yeah, so that's how I created, just logos, created invitations and flyers, down to this, right? Like being able to make someone look like they're leaning on something. Part of this was Photoshop. It was Photoshop for the outline, and I brought it into Silhouette Studio, and I think the fade off, but then I end up arranging everything else in Silhouette Studio. But this was a lot of Photoshop too. So I use both programs interchangeably. Silhouette Studio for this was Cameo stuff, but I'm just kind of going through just so my kid, I tell you, just so that you can kind of see just some of the things that you are able. This was one of the first like orders I did, like really with the Cameo, and create, like they used to have templates for like cake pop holders and stuff like that. And I was an event planner. I got my machine for my event business. I purchased it with a purpose. Now I do so many other things with it, but I originally purchased it with a purpose in mind of how I was going to utilize it. His birthday, cutting out the 3D letters, and just being able to set those things up, right? So just kind of going to flip through this. You can always go, it's HSINK365. You want to go to Instagram and ever go through like all these pictures and stuff like that. Back in the day, I told you all these hats were old. 2014 is when I first started doing these hats, and then I didn't like the way they were set up. So I ended up changing it and making my own template. was at the game, put my popcorn in it at the game. I had so many people sitting around us asking me about that. They thought that, let me tell you how great this was and how much of a moment it was for me, because I had people asking me, where do I go to get this hat? Because me and MJ were literally eating popcorn out of the hat, and they thought that this was something that they can actually buy at the game. And what made me think of making it for the game was we went to Marlins games, and for the Marlins, they had hats that ice cream goes into, and MJ loved that or whatever. So when we would go to the Heat games, I ended up making this so we can put our popcorn in. I love my friend. This was the first time I made an order and shipped it. It was in 2014 from doing like a print cut. And mind you, she had one too, yet she still had me do it because I mean, I was really working that darn program like that. Being able to customize stuff like this. This was a regular file, and knowing how to add your backgrounds to it, customize it for their colors, their theme. Like I'm saying, this is their name, and then you can see where the little shoes. This was a regular file that was on in the design store, but knowing how to add the pattern paper to it, and then how to cut it so that you can create these things and it ends up matching. I used to do a lot of stuff with paper. Paper was my favorite medium to work with. But yeah, like I said, you can go through this. It's a lot on here. That and everything at this point was designed or created from Silhouette Studio or created from the Cameo. Being able to take this and take her name and make a custom placemat. So it doesn't matter what you do in the creative space, there is something that you can, like, where Silhouette Studio will be beneficial to you. That was always, this is one of my favorite things, man. I love going through my Instagram because I always just like really think of, like, it just takes me back to a lot of moments. So going into Target and seeing these, and then this was my version of that for a sports party. Love seeing that. One of the very first big ones I did, to where I designed it, I had it printed, I outsourced it as a really large print, and then of course I just had to hand cut it. So outsourcing is something that I have always done, to where I know that my printer can only do so much. Doesn't mean that I can't take on certain jobs just because I don't have that size printer. I found a local print. I designed it, saved it, found a local print company. They printed out for me, and I just cut it. And it didn't take anything away from me, because it was like, when they're looking at that, they don't know if I printed it myself. They were just mesmerized by the design, to where I created Kelly her own personal logo for Kelly's Beauty Bar. It was just her birthday theme. But I mean, look at how I had it intertwining, and I designed and did this whole intertwine all in Silhouette Studio. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. Do not think of it as just a program for the Cameo. Separate it. Whatever you think you can do or need Photoshop for, or Illustrator or Affinity, you can do it in this software. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Give me ideas for my granddaughter's birthday. Well, go over there. I haven't posted in like forever and a day, but back when I was actually actively doing events and I would remember to post things, I did post them. So you definitely can get some ideas and stuff over here. So this party, I just created like the things that the labels in front of each thing, and then I made the cutout, and then they put everything together. But all of like the little paper stuff, cupcake toppers, was things that I created, and we did that, like I said, in Silhouette Studio as far as designing them. These were big actual fat heads that you purchase in the store. I did not make those with the Cameo, but all of the toppers, all of those things, yeah, everything here. So yeah, definitely take your time, go through it, and just look at the things that are there. MJ's costume, Lord, I was really obsessed with my cutter because I made MJ's costume. This is one of those, your first type of things you do. And it's like, child, what were you thinking? Although MJ thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, child. I was working on other people's orders. Halloween came around and I realized, Lord Jesus, I did not get my baby a costume. We gonna make it do what it do because we gave him a plastic tablecloth cape. You couldn't tell that boy nothing. He didn't realize that it was I don't say thrown together, but you would have thought we bought that from the store, the way MJ was, and even afterwards, where it's like the same way you see him here when I made him, we almost even make it out with them because he was just playing with them. And it was all these were things that came from the Silhouette Studio design store. And then I just turned them into like bracelets and brass knuckles. So yeah. So you can always go through it and just kind of see what everything that I've done with this particular software. It's amazing. It really. Hey, I never knew Season North America commented on my stuff. Oh, wow. Damn. Wow, that's a full circle moment. Oh, this wasn't even vinyl. Oh, wow. Oh, that y'all just don't understand how much of a full circle moment this is for me to know that in 2014 they actually commented on my stuff and this wasn't even vinyl. And now knowing what's going forward, oh wow. I can't wait to show that to Chad. Oh my gosh. Y'all, that just made my day. Anywho, but yeah, just wanted you guys to kind of see what's there. All right. So the link for the don't try and click on it. You're driving right now. You're good. It'll still be discounted. Come back to the post. It's in the link, or you can just go straight to our website, shop.hsink365.com. Again, that is shop.hsink365.com, or just go to hsink365.com. If you just type in hsink365 in Google, it'll take you straight to our website. Hey, we're branded really good. We're indexed really good to where if you put it in the search, you're going to get to our website. And then just look for the 30-day training. Okay. Thank you so very much. Let's see. Did I miss anything? I got my Silhouette products because I started with quilting. It was hard cutting appliques in the hoop. I could make it embroidery side, then send it to Cameo 4 and cut it out for appliques. I still use 4.1. Yep. I updated my software, but I can't find Business Edition that I purchased. It should be stored. So when you go back to Silhouette America website and you log in under your settings, you should be able to see your license keys and it will be there. It's all about learning to design, and you can take it out of Silhouette and use it in any program. You don't need a Cameo machine. The professor was on every day in the month of March. And of course you get lifetime playbacks. Thank you for that. She teaches at least 2 hours every single day during the month. It was during the month of March 2022. This class is fire. You will learn things you never thought about in designing. Oh man, you are, whoa, mind you. Wait, I'm actually going out of order because she posted them. So I'm actually going back up. So they're out of order. Mind you, you don't need a machine. This class is all about learning to become a designer. It's all about designing, becoming better than what you are. Thank you so much for that, Valerie. Good afternoon to you. This training is thebomb.com from Virginia. Come on, everyone, share, then share again. Don't forget to hit the like button. Oh man, thank y'all for those comments. All right. So let's just kind of take a quick look. I'm almost at an hour, didn't even get to that. So I want to just kind of show you guys what it is that what you'll get, right? So let me kind of go back through this. It's gonna make me click because I have way too many things open. As I said, it might shut down on me. Okay. So this was like day one when it comes to just selecting. This is the base file that we used for releasing compound paths, how to select things, how to make compound paths to get those areas back. So like within here, this is kind of like how you would see it when it's just a compound path. When it's broken up, it's like this. So learning to click on your background, hold down shift, and identify the areas that need to be cut out, and clicking on those. I'm going to just change the color so you can see what all I clicked on. So I don't have any parts of the butterfly. And see, now this showed me that I still needed to hold down shift. I need to click in here, here, and here. And we're just going to change those colors. So I only want, I'm missing a piece there. So I even teach you things like that. How is it that you can figure out what all you have selected and you don't have selected? Changing colors and utilizing colors is one of the main things I teach, that, and also duplicate, 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 duplicate. So every time I'm changing the colors, I'm seeing stuff that I am missing as far as part of being of the selection. So now that I have just as far as the original color gray, it's the insides of the butterfly, I know that I have everything that I need selected. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a compound path and then send that to the back. So now I have the openings just like this, and I can go in and customize these butterflies, give them, very beautiful wings and with different colors and stuff like that. So that is how this comes up a couple different times, this particular file, like in just how to select, and then your compound path and selection training, we end up using this. Oh, it went all the way to the end. Seriously. This is one of the things, like, you have too many open. I hate the fact it's not like, some of the other programs where I can just kind of click a drop down and go back. I really don't like that part about this when you have so many open. That's why I don't recommend having so many tabs open. This was the one for selecting, like I said, where I have it where, hey, we're going to start on, you have reference points. We're going to start on this side and make sure your mouse looks like this. You're going to drag it to here. And then I go and I say, okay, notice what you selected. Then the difference in going from here to here. And then, so we did end up doing like different selections. So this was a really, really good lesson for a lot of people because they did not understand like how to select it, how to not capture certain areas and capture areas that you did using your shift. And this was a really, really good one also. Actually, that was my base one. This was the one for compound paths and knowing how this was set up to be able to create the rings. And because I messed up on this turned into a lesson within a lesson because I actually dropped, I think, inside the program, or either mine was set up wrong, but like in the class, it was correct. Because they were actually already compound paths. So I had to release it. Even before the weld day, I showed how weld works and how you would use that. So this was a really good day. Then we go through subtract. And as you can see, like, they look the same, but they're not the same. Like, this was strategically designed for almost every scenario you can think of. I really put a lot of thought into how this was set up. And if you watch it and not worry about the length of it, you have to break it up, take notes. It comes with a note guide, write those notes out. But these were strategically set up this way because these are things that you may run across when you're designing, whether it is your background is just one solid piece, if it's grouped together, or a compound path, how would that factor in as far as how you subtract? And I'll just kind of show you real quick, right? So if I were to select this and hit subtract, it takes it out of the middle. But now if I were to select this and hit subtract, I'm left with only one little piece here. Well, why is that? I break down why. So if I select this and I go subtract, I'm left with this. Like, why is it, it looks somewhat the same. It just had an extra line. So you'll be amazed at how little, like how just having one little thing on there will affect how something comes out. So this had the 2 lines on it and it had the background, but when we select this and subtract, we still get the same thing, even though it had 2 colors. I break down, that as to why. We go here, but I only have the T. And go here and subtract. So it really, really gives you, we break down each one of these. If something is to the front, if it's to the back, if you have multiples, all of that is broken down in here. And then we use the same one for subtract all as well. We go through the same thing with weld. Weld is not the same thing when it comes to where something is, what parts are taken out or, are there and stuff like that. So we go through that with weld. You see some examples of how to use it in an actual design. Same thing for divide. All of these are strategically set up so that you can see when you are designing and you're trying to create certain looks, what these tools and functions do. Like I said, it is not a program that is going to focus on designs. Oh, I want to take this. Is this going to help me do grad designs? We've talked about it in there because I think the crop to text was all pretty much like grad stuff, but it's not. It's meant, like I said, for you to understand the tools and functions, how they work, which means it's going to be easier for you to understand when you're putting them in designs. So this was the crop to text day. Crop images to text. So this was day 10. And this was going to be really helpful for anyone now that wants to put a picture inside the word grad or 2023, how to know like where to move it around so you're not cutting off faces. Day 10 is really, really great for anyone right now preparing for graduation season. This is where we started to trace. And this was kind of you can trace this to get this. This is full on vector, but if you have this image and this image, you could create your own SVG. I'll show you real quick how you can do that too. So I'm going to go here, select. We're going to go ahead and trace this, trace. Select trace area, place our box around here. We're going to take our threshold up and we're going to hit trace. Move this out of the way. We're going to, actually, no, I don't need that. I need this. We're going to shrink it down. Put it about there. Let me add some color to this. All right, so we're going to say maybe, actually, no, it should be up here, but we end up kind of coming down here. Okay, I think, yeah, probably about there where it just barely covers up his eyes. I'm going to go offset, apply, hold down shift, select Mickey, subtract, hold down shift, click here, delete everything else. Oh wait, I needed his nose. Shoot, undo. I forgot to, I'm just going to duplicate this. Subtract, hold down shift, click on Mickey's head, delete it. And then here, we're just going to release compound path so I can take out the nose. And I'm actually going to make it smaller because it just doesn't work to be huge. And that's how you end up making an SVG from like, so you're not limited to how you see images or, JPEGs, PNG. You can create things from them. So this is the starting point. So I always say this is your ground zero. This is your foundation to learn what all it's going to take to customize these items. We break down the many different ways of tracing. There is no one like universal thing when it comes to tracing. each one of these uses a different tracing function or technique. So this was kind of like our baseline when I use this one to describe each one. And then we have several practice ones that we can do. So with practicing tracing all of these, and whether it's just doing a trace and detach, or when you need to trace and detach, when you need to trace the whole thing for the outline to be able to change things out. What can you actually do? Can you do certain things as a trace and change the colors, or are you limited to just trace and detach? That is what we go through. And I also have a little secret in this that I only talk about in the 30-day training, as far as when you do a trace, how to break things up, without having to release compound path. This, I had a couple students beat me. We had a race when we did this. That was pretty fun. Again, tracing line art versus if it's filled with color. This is like the basic trace. This was point editing, to where they really learned to master edit points, because we went around this entire unicorn and isolated it using edit points. Then we did, this one was a little bit easier because it's like just a few, points for that one, going around this and going in and out, how we had to use it once we traced this, and to isolate certain parts. We removed the shadow from around this to make it where it was just the car. So just removing those areas. That's one of the ways that you would use edit points. This right here, the lines are actually supposed to be sharper. This was a trace, and the lines weren't that great. Stuff wasn't even. So we use the edit points to make sharp lines. Once you practice, like you actually take the time to practice what's in this training, the things that scare you, edit points, tracing multiple colors, things like that, they won't anymore, because you have so many examples and so many practice things that you can work on to actually master these tools. Let's see. I have a huge following. I'm going to ask them to join. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that. I've had my silhouette and never cut anything. See, a lot of people were like that. They haven't really used it to cut anything, but I mean, I've used it, man. I've cut a whole lot with that machine. Been following you since before you were Professor. Was online the day you decided on your new name. Oh, wow. I still remember that day like it was just, and it was based off of like something God said to me, and then my glasses confirmed that I was the professor. How long will the class be discounted? I haven't quite decided just yet. So it's a limited time. It won't be forever, but I haven't decided when I'll take that off of discount, but it's discounted right now. And then I think this was the replicate day. So we went through this to be able to create designs like this, where you have like utilizing the replicate tool. And then also for this, like that was really popular then. It was trending, like the stack design, and then the whole ombre effect. So we end up going back to our lesson on colors and gradients and stuff like that, and how to get those different colors. So we went through that. We go through rhinestones. So this is one, tracing it. So once you trace it, how do you apply a rhinestone effect, either for the whole thing and have the separation? How do you get the outline? Like if you wanted to outline it in black, we go through that as far as like rhinestones. We also go through this for rhinestones, where you have like with different, how to turn it basically into line art. So here you can see we had large stones and then smaller stones, and kind of having that look. So this was one where it was the double side, and then we turned it into line art. We still had the bigger stones here. We go into the smaller stones, a single line of bigger stones, smaller stones, bigger stones. So it just gives it that effect. So when people ask me, do I go over rhinestones? We have two different examples of rhinestones in the class, even how to so this one was hand drawn. And then how to apply the colors so that you can actually see you can see the transition. You can see where the overlap is and where you need to remove things. So we do get into some rhinestone teaching on that rhinestone day. And then this was one of the days when we got into like designing. Someone showed a design and then I showed how, because it was the way that it was made, it didn't really have like the hands or like the cut to where you can actually change it, because it came in where it was basically just like this, where if you release compound path, it was solid. So we end up doing it to where I showed how you can isolate that, where you can change the colors out. We fixed some things with like the hair was a bunch of different lines in it. And then on the one that like in class, I ended up taking this and I think putting this here. So you're able to customize that SVG even more and personalize it. Like, so let's say somebody does like to drink tea or, you know, just sip from their cup, you can put something on the actual cup. Like it didn't have to just be one way. Pan. Oh, wait. That was a combination of something. Ah, okay. I forgot. I forget that I be changing stuff. This is true. This was a Tumblr background from Design Bundles. And then this was a totally different file. And I end up selecting the color. So I made this custom Tumblr where I combined a background that already had like the smoke splashes, all that stuff. And then I put words in it. So this She Is Strong, when I sampled, I just did the background. So now I'm going to take this and group that. Oops, wrong thing. I think this may have already been cut out. Yeah, I already cut this out. It would be over here. But I made it to where you can't even see it. Like the She Is Strong, like that part literally looked like it was behind her hands, like how it should be. So I showed how to do that as well. So like I said, this training is chock full of information. Let's see. Our 30-day training. So our essentials to Silhouette Studio, learn Silhouette Studio in 30 days. I'm gonna come back over here. This class right here is what's discounted. So right here, the link is in the description of this video. I will drop it in the comment section. That way you can go straight to it, but it is in the description as well. But you're going to be on the shop site and you're going to click here and you'll get emails to tell you how you access it, because you purchase it here, but the class is hosted on our 365 Creative Academy website. So there is a learning site and then there's just the shop site, our regular e-commerce site. So you're going to get emails. It's going to tell you how to log on and stuff like that, how to set your password. Now, if you want, it's not discounted. If you go straight to 365 Creative Academy, actually, let me take off of this just in case it shows my back end. Because sometimes when I click on it, because I'm logged in, okay, so yeah, it went to the right spot. So if you just search 365 Creative Academy and you click on it, it'll take you here. You'll see it on your dashboard. So one of the quickest ways to make sure that you have access to your content is go over to the Academy site, create your login with the same email address you would use on the shop site. If you set up two different email addresses, or like if you want to use one, but then like your PayPal is something different, it's going to create a different account on the Academy site. But if you use the same exact one, you make sure it's the same exact email address and go over here first. As soon as you purchase any class, it's going to automatically be on your dashboard. Oh, someone said it's so good I can buy it twice. Oh, thank you for that. All right. So that, in a nutshell, is what the 30-day training is. And like I said, I'm always getting asked, well, what all does it entail? Does it help me with like designing? So I'm not going to say that we're going through like specific type designs in this one. I have foundations of designing where I teach you about designing. Once you understand the tools, you can take any of my design classes. I have ones that go over SVGs, ones for, you know, event decor. We had the crash course where it's like a lot of different things in that one. So designing for me is different than learning the software. It is important to learn the tools, learn what they do. Even if you think that you want to use Photoshop, there are things here that will translate to other softwares. This is a great place to begin, or, just to even expand your graphic designing knowledge, because you're going to understand the why of how things work when it comes to designing. It doesn't matter which program you're in. If you're going to subtract something, it is important in which order it's in. If you're going to crop something, now in Photoshop, crop is a little bit different because you are cropping down basically as a square, like inside the box. But in this one and in other programs, like when you're cropping, how big or how small something is will determine like what crops to what, why does it change colors for certain things, but not for others. It really breaks down, like I said, the concepts, the why, not just the how. For the how, that's where all of the design classes come in. The SVG one, the foundations of designing, the switch up, how to go in and remove the background or do point editing and be able to switch up the faces and change the color on things, change the hue, the saturation, the gamma. The designing crash course, we went over several things over the course of 10 days. And it was like intro to designing, text only design, remaking designs and templates, word art and word clouds, brushstroke designs, how to create your own brushstrokes, like, and basically trace things to make them like make your own and fill them with different patterns and colors and stuff like that. Posters, split designs, photo collages. We did some rhinestones in this one as well. And then rearranging templates. So this right here was all about design concepts. That's what that was. Understanding these designs that you see. Man, I wonder, how are those made? How do people do that? That's what this crash course was about. You have the text effects one. We have the event decor. We have the vector. I have a lot more older classes. I end up basically retiring them. If you didn't get them when, I retired them, and I said they were not coming back. But what I plan to do, like just from talking to the team, is some of those, they're going to be at a discounted price. They were great then. I just think that my teaching has changed, and I wanted to kind of redo those. But for those who may not be able to take the newer classes, they might be outside of their budget when we redo some of those, I will kind of have this like little package where you can get some of my top classes that I did kind of put away, but they will just be available. It's just the playbacks of them. And for some stuff, they are a little bit longer because back then was the no student left behind situation. So it can be kind of like, okay, when we going to move on? I'm not even going to lie. Like back then, I used to try and make sure that everyone understood every morsel back then. And it did make the classes unnecessarily long and uncomfortable for some people. So I kind of changed the way that I do my classes now. Like I said, I'm always learning from the experiences, and I'm always asking for feedback. And I improve my classes and just to make it a better experience for everyone. That's just kind of how I roll. But I will put those because some people have said like there were some really, really great classes. There were some really great sessions in the bachelor's program that I can release individually because you'll learn a lot from those. So our team is working on putting that package together. I don't know when that's going to be available, but we're working on putting that together. And whatever classes that we kind of put back into the vault and just kind of stored them away, they weren't available for purchase. We're working on doing newer versions. I know one of the ones is the foam board. I was supposed to do that. What was it, last month? Wasn't able to do it because I really wanted to do an in-person one as well. But we are definitely going to do that foam board class real soon. Y'all know foam board. If you don't know, foam board is another one of my favorite medias to work with. Any questions for me about, like, if you have any specific questions about what's included, feel free to go ahead and ask. I've been on for 1 hour and 22 minutes. I will be on for no more than another 10 minutes, answer any questions. If there are no questions, I'll go ahead and end the live, but I will give you guys an opportunity to ask me any questions if you want to just make sure that this is going to be a great purchase for you. Okay, Stephanie, yes, let me know if you have any issues with it. Or you can always send us an email and I'll look into it. So yes, so when it comes to hold on, before I answer that one, is the 30-day, yes, it's so at this point it's at your own pace. When I first originally did it, it was scheduled, like, so everything here was so, you know, remember back in the day when we used to say this show was recorded in front of a live studio audience. That's kind of how this was, and that literally plays in my head every time I think about this course. So it was recorded in front of a live Zoom audience. So back then in March of 2022, it was that you had to wait for every single day because, wait the 30 days. So I taught it live for 30 days straight in March at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So now you're able to just watch the playbacks. Also, if you're going to sign up for it now, because we were going to do some things a la carte, and I didn't realize at the time, like, where stuff was saved at, and it's been a year. Trust me, I know it's been a year. I should have all this stuff done already, but at least we do have the timestamps. I had someone go through it and watch it, and there are timestamps for. I'm not sure if we've actually gone through all of them yet, but at least on the streamed videos, there are timestamps, and you can always create your own timestamp by just leaving a comment and putting what the time is so that you can go back to it. If you click on that timestamp, it'll jump right to it. But make sure that you guys are starting out where it says welcome and reading through where your playbacks are, because I keep getting these questions. Why do I only see day 1 through 3? They're all there. You just have to read, start at the top and read, and it is there to show you where to get the playbacks, but you work at your own pace. You're very welcome. Okay, so this is going to be released. I gotta go back into this whole tax issue. I gotta touch that today before my husband kills me. Oh Lord Jesus, they're gonna probably shut me down because I said that. The algorithm, and when they pick up on stuff, is very sensitive on Facebook. They probably shut this down because of that threat. Or there's not really a threat. He's not gonna do that to me. But y'all know when you use certain terms. But I have to work on taxes. And I have my creative business session this evening. So I will be putting that out soon. So when it comes to the grad items and the grad camp, we did not reach our goal for it to be free for everyone, but there will be a significant discount code for everyone that's enrolled in Essentials to Silhouette Studio, and we're going to drop that in there. So I'm going to tell you now, when it comes to this, it is not going through like full on how to design from scratch for any of these. Now, the ones for the stoles, we went over text designs and things like that. You can sign up for that one. What we're going to go through is just really letting you know what all you can actually sell, how to make them, where do you get the supplies from. There's going to be some, hands-on demos, and it allows you to really ask questions in real time. I have several templates for fans, and I'll only be teaching based off of those and kind of how to use Silhouette Studio or any program for changing the colors of those and giving suggestions when it comes to the pictures that you get, how to make them look good in the product, the things that you do. So it's not like this full on from scratch designing type deal, because that will take a really long time. And we're already in the midst of grad season. Now, it's definitely some things that will be helpful for you if you don't do it this time. Maybe if you just do it for your own like family or close friends or your own kids and things like that. And if you want to just take that information for next year. But when you're in the design class, like you're in 30-day training or any of the design classes I've done, you'll really pick up on how to create these. So I'm not necessarily showing you how to create your own templates from scratch. It will be from the templates. It will not include templates. Y'all still got to go buy those templates, because I make the classes affordable. You still got to go buy the templates if you want to use any of those templates. I'll go through the yard signs, what all you need for that, how to apply it to the coroplast, how to make the fans. And there's a couple different fans that you can make. Well, some people call them fans, like the wood ones. To me, those aren't fans. To me, those are just like spirit type paddles. I don't really, those are kind of heavy when, trying to use it that way. So I call them fans because it's all made from paper. My technique for doing it, the supplies that I use, the glue guns and stuff like that. You guys will be able to ask all the questions. Pretty sure I'll get a bunch of questions about printers. That's normally the biggest thing, and about printing them and, how to make them either glossy. We're going to go through all that and whether or not that's necessary. So it's going to be about the creation part of it more so. It's still going to have some design elements, but more like helping like if someone gives you this, how can you make it work? Because there is a yard sign that I did. When you see what the original image was and how I kind of finessed that, it will really help you stand out amongst those in your community, like locally, for how you put your designs together. And I'm also going to be in very much so professor mode and, putting out that advisory that although I will go through several items that make good grad products, don't try to do them all, especially if this is your first year. When I started doing grad items, I was not doing all the things that I can technically offer now. I started off with one that was great. When I did that, they, some people saw it, they gave them my information, they came to, okay. And then now, we also have this now, because they came to us for one thing. The next year I added on something else. Then I added on something else because I got a good handle of what it takes to make each of these. I don't think you guys really understand, like if you go viral, or not even say go viral, but like if a lot of people locally and they want every single item that you have advertised and every order is for that. And I don't think you guys are really thinking about it. I think that it's like, okay, if I offer more things, at least they'll pick one or two, but not really thinking about if they really want all of these things, how that's going to play out for you creating it all, especially if you're by yourself. Have you thought about a game plan? So my goal is to help you be very efficient in how you are approaching it, to where you're not super stressed out. So we are going to have a day where we're going to talk about the business side and the warning, the advisory part of it, and some things for you guys to consider as you are promoting your grad items. So that's why I called it, it's a camp where it is really going to, it's going to help you. It's going to bless your life. Okay. I have been using Silhouette for 9 years. 10 years. No, my niece is 9. So I've been using it for 9.5 years. Do I have templates for composition notebooks? I do. So it's not, okay, so it depends on what all you mean by that, because I have where you can customize the colors. It's not made to like the exact size of a composition notebook. I don't think that one is, but like all of the different middle pieces and stuff like that. Yes, we do have that. That one is only in the vault. I don't think I have that in HS Ink Digital on the website. I have to check, but I know for sure it's in the template vault. Is what in the class? Y'all have to be more specific because I'm just talking. So you got to be more specific and just like ask your questions, like specifically what you're asking is in the class, because I don't even remember what this is right now. Thank you for making this affordable. Always, always, always. I'm really trying to listen, but my coworkers keep bothering me. What are they thinking bothering me about work? That is hilarious. Yeah, you have to, if you're still on, I mean, this right here, I'm not sure what you're asking about is what in the class, and is it too late to join which one? Thank you for the class. And again, I have to ask, how do I get to the vault at your site? So if you've purchased the template vault, it's stored, it's hosted on the Academy site. So it's going to show up as if it's a class. It just made it where it's easier to download, because from our site, you can't just download like anything. So I basically just take the items and put them over into the vault. So the vault, you should see it on your dashboard on 365 Creative Academy. No, the bachelor's class is something that's totally different. It is not Essentials to Silhouette Studio, is Essentials to Silhouette Studio. When it comes to the bachelor's, that is going to be something that I'm going to kind of bring back how I did that one, where there were weekly, or it might end up being bi-weekly classes, because weekly was a lot. Committing to every single Wednesday was a lot. So that will most likely go into more kind of like how Masters was, where it was every 2 weeks. And so if you guys don't know, those who are in foundations of designing, this was me kind of also testing that, because I did my Photoshop was every single week. My creative business was every single week. But it's a longer time frame. So that was 3 months. My Photoshop was 8 weeks. The foundations of designing is basically covered. It goes over 3 months, or 3-month period, but it was every other week. So I was trying to see how that worked. Like, was 2 weeks too long of a gap? Was it just enough to give people time to actually practice before the next session? We do have a foundations of designing session this week. So I am, as I'm doing these, I'm also testing it as well. So when I originally did the bachelor's, it was every single week. When I did masters, it was every other week to give them time to practice. So I think it's going to probably end up being that way. I do love the weekly sessions, but the more weekly sessions I put into it, the more the monthly cost is. So if you can get in, I'm not sure, I'll probably put a poll out. I can make it where we're meeting every week. Sometimes that can be overwhelming, because it's like you're still trying to work on the last thing and then still trying to work on your business. So that can be a bit much. I do find that, sometimes that is a bit much for actual designing and hands-on type things. But if I'm committing to 4 sessions a month, the price ends up changing. compared to if it's just 2 sessions a month of, my time. So it makes the price a little bit different as far as what the monthly cost will be. So we're still, me and the team are still working it out. We're trying to meet in the middle because I have my thoughts, they have theirs, and we're trying to find a middle ground so that we can release this, but it's not the same as essentials. That will be our foundational. You have to. So anybody that comes in and you want to join bachelors, you have to have the 30-day training, because we're going to refer back to a lot of things within that 30-day training. Is what a redo class? I'm not sure what you mean as far as a redo class. And that will be the last one. There were no other questions. So after I kind of see what she was referring to, we'll wrap this up, because I've been on for an hour. I was trying to do it within an hour. I'm at an hour and 40 minutes. So a little bit longer than I anticipated. And you guys probably will see, I probably won't go into this much detail because I'll just probably keep resharing this one. But know that if you see it again, like, I'm just kind of pretty much going over the same thing, because that's what you have to do. Like, I don't have, all the audience. Everyone may not be able to watch now, even though they're at work. So you might see this video or this type of live comes up again where I'm talking about what's in the class. And I like to do them live and answer questions versus just kind of doing them and just kind of running them as an ad. So you may see this come up several times this week while this is on sale. So you don't have to sit through the next one because it's going to be pretty much the same information. All right. So Ms. Dawn, I was waiting for yours. So I was just referring to the stoles in general. So that one was the text one. That one is done. But I'm doing a grad design camp, and well, it's more like just grad camp. It's going to talk about the different things. So that's something that's totally different. So no, I'm not redoing any classes. As far as that, they would have to take that one if they want to really learn how to do like the text and stuff for it. But just really breaking down what you need, just kind of going over some basic things as far as designing that will apply to pretty much anything like cropping and adding colors, how to kind of approach certain images. If you get this and like the arm is cut off, what can you do to cover that up? So it's going to be like a lot of design tips and things. And then we're going to have a session that's going to be about that business side and the money side, and not overwhelming yourself trying to take on too many of those projects, and you're just starting, especially if this is your first year doing anything grad. You can make money. My first year, I was swamped, and all I did was fans. I did not do stoles with it. I wasn't doing yard signs. I was just doing fans. Now, my fans were trending because they were different than anything they had seen before, but I had lots of orders for fans. I would not be able to handle anything else if it was just me by myself. I had that many orders for them. So I'm very grateful. And that at that time, I didn't have to worry about stopping to do a tumbler, do a yard sign, actually, I think I was doing yard signs too, but not having to stop to no, I wasn't doing yard signs. I didn't start doing yard signs until 2019. So the next year. And really got into it in 2020. But yeah, so I did not try and do everything, and I still made great money. I really think people don't think about how much it takes to do all those things that they're advertising, and if you had more than one order. So that's going to be kind of the eye opener session, and let's really talk about it. Let's talk about if you're prepared for it and what you can do, and still make a mark, and make some money within this grad season. Okay. All right. So until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity. Be incredible. Like I said, the links are in the description. They also should end up being comments on all platforms because I did it through StreamYard. And I will see you guys on the other side. Peace.